So, guys, the leader of Action SA, Mr. Mashaba, claims that the coalition in Tshwane is still intact, despite his biggest partners, the ANC and the EFF, pushing for the city manager to be fired. And this is something that Action SA and Mr. Mashaba himself are not in favor of. You remember last week, we actually did an update about the statement that was released by the ANC, claiming that the appointment of Mr. Johan Metler, the city manager of the city of Tshwane, was irregular and the processes were not followed properly. And the ANC also criticized the selection panel and claimed that the selection panel was flawed because they are saying that the selection panel was supposed to have 2 councillors, but it was later revealed that the selection panel had 4 councillors. So that made the appointment of Mr. Metler irregular. So the ANC and the EFF are on one side when it comes to this. But Mashaba and Action SA, they are saying, no, there's no need for that. You remember Julius Malema, when he did that interview on Eyewitness News, this is what he said about the situation in Tshwane. Julius Malema is basically blaming Mashaba and saying that Mashaba is the problem in Tshwane, and if this coalition were to collapse in Tshwane, that will be the fault of Action SA and Mashaba.
The work in the city that we're doing is not a PR. If you go to Tshwane, London is becoming a small town in terms of cleanness and services to our people. We are turning the corner. The people are so happy in Tshwane. The problem is not the ANC this time. It's not it's a Herman who has less numbers than the ANC, who have the arrogant ANC saying, okay, we accept, take.
And guys, Julius Malema speaking about Mashaba and him having less numbers. Did you actually see the reports that came out over the weekend that allegedly, this is the word on the street, that the EFF and the ANC are planning a motion of no confidence against Dr. Nasipi Moya, the mayor of the city of Tshwane. This is what the reports said over the weekend, that these 2 political parties are not happy about Action SA, not listening to them. So right now, they are actually thinking of ways to punish Action SA because Action SA is not behaving like an obedient child. Action SA is behaving like a rascal, and they need to put Action SA on the line. Guys, did you see those reports, man? Did you see those reports? And this is something that Julius Malema has been telling Mashaba over the time, that Mashaba, you don't have the numbers. Stop acting like you have the numbers. You do not have the numbers. So do not be arrogant because you can easily be removed. You don't have the power that you think that you have. We know that you think that you have the power, but you don't have the power. We are the ones that actually have the power. We made a huge sacrifice. We actually compromised by giving you that mayoral seat. So don't come here and start acting like you have the numbers, whereas you don't have the numbers.
The work in the city that we're doing is not a PR. If you go to Tshwane, London is becoming a small town in terms of cleanness and services to our people. We are turning the corner. The people are so happy in Tshwane. The problem is not the ANC this time. It's not it's a Herman who has less numbers than the ANC, who have the arrogant ANC saying, okay, we accept, take. And then he takes, and then he starts behaving like he's got power. You know, ego is what is going to kill most of these people in politics. Humble yourself. They don't say they don't want Action SA. They say that we have a problem with this municipal manager. They put the facts on the table. Listen to them, okay, agree. And then start a process jointly, collectively, to come up with a city manager. What if that city manager is something that you will all like, because you are now, all of you, presiding over a process that will produce a city manager? Why do you want to behave like, no, if I remove this one, then it means the Action SA won't have control? So I'm just saying to you, it is those irritations that lead to the instability. But I can tell you now, the coalition governments can work. They work very well. They are working here in Gauteng province because we've got a sober man. Before you ask me where they working coalitions.
I wasn't going to ask you that.
By the way, that sober man is Panyaza Sufi. So the EFF is not only pushing for Mr. Metler to go out, the EFF is also pushing for other people there in the city of Tshwane to be fired, because they say that these appointments of these people were irregular. You remember that this is a statement that the EFF in Gauteng released concerning this. So this statement was released on the 30th of July 2025, and it says that the economic freedom fighters in Gauteng welcomes the firm intervention by the MEC for Cooperative and Traditional Affairs, Jacob Mamabolo, in exposing and addressing the illegal appointments of senior municipal managers in the city of Tshwane. We further call for the immediate removal of all individuals irregularly appointed through a process that blatantly disregarded the legal prescripts. The revelations made by the MEC confirm what the EFF has consistently warned against. The Democratic Alliance-led administration under former Mayor Silas Brink governed Tshwane with a complete disregard for the law and due process. The appointment of key managers, including, so this is what the EFF is talking about. They are talking about the city manager, Johan Metler, the financial officer, Chief Audit Executive and Chief of Police, Chief of Emergency Services, Chief Operations Officer, and the group head in the office of the city manager was conducted by a panel that was unlawfully constituted in violation of Regulation 12 and Section 17 of the Local Government Regulations on Appointment and Conditions of Employment of Senior Managers. So the EFF is not only pushing for the firing of Johan Metler, they are also pushing for other people that are occupying other offices there. So, Mashaba and Action SA, they have responded to this before. I remember the national chairperson of Action SA, Mr. Michael Beaumont, saying that, guys, there's going to be a huge there's going to be a war, basically, if you guys remove Dr. Nasipi Moya, because Dr. Nasipi Moya is not listening to what you people are saying. But if you listen to Mashaba, I think, I don't know, maybe I could be wrong, but I feel like Mashaba is actually downplaying what this tension between the ANC, EFF, and Action SA could actually mean for the city of Tshwane.
Okay, what is happening in Tshwane? I mean, the coalition seems to be hanging by a thread. Some people are not happy with the city manager, and there are some parties in the coalition that want him out, and that's beginning to divide the coalition. Is that a big concern? How are you addressing that?
No, I think, Clement, it's exactly the same issue with this narrative that we started getting last night, that ANC is coming to talk to Action SA about joining the GNU. I can tell you the coalition in Tshwane is as solid as anything else. That I can assure you. The only issue that is there on the table, and we are having discussion as grown-up people, as patriots, where the ANC and EFF, for some reason, they're not happy with the city manager and some Section 56 managers, that they felt they were not properly appointed. And I think for us as Section SA, through the mayor is not really convinced that it is for that reason she has referred the matter to the MEC of Cogta in the province to really look into the matter. And I think for us.
And guys, is it really about the manager being the mayor being convinced, or is it about the mayor looking at the evidence and saying that these people are right or wrong? Because right now, I feel like Mashaba is saying that the mayor does not believe what the EFF and the ANC are saying. But is the mayor actually looking at the evidence that was produced, supposedly, by the EFF and the ANC about the city manager?
Us as a party, we respect that decision. We can't just really vote the city manager out or kick him out without really having.
Why can't this process be started from scratch?
What for?
Because there seems to be issues with the technicalities of how he was appointed, how many committee members were there.
But the mayor and our caucus in Tshwane is not convinced that they disagree. They don't agree with the ANC and EFF for this matter.
But the ANC and the EFF are important to you as
yes,
the
but that doesn't really mean that we are fighting. We are not fighting with the ANC and EFF. It's an engagement that we are having. It is up to them to actually prove to us that they've got a case. And if they've got a case, then the mayor and our caucus in Tshwane will do what is right. But as I'm talking to you right now, that coalition is as tight as possible on a daily basis. Actually, even now, just waiting for your interview, I saw on one of the social media, one of the MMCs saying, you know, because there's an article in one of the newspapers saying the coalition in Tshwane it's at risk. I can tell you it's absolute nonsense.
I had the ANC earlier this week. They were raising concerns about the city manager. I was listening to Julius Malema also say that him and Mashaba is being arrogant here.
Yeah, yes, no, I've heard.
Why is the
it's
not just starting the process from the beginning?
Yeah, but you can imagine, Clement, we just over a year to elections, and absolutely we have absolutely no reason whatsoever to do what is right for this country and our capital city. But we can't just really support something which doesn't really make sense to us. It is for that reason the executive mayor referred this matter to COGTA to see if they agree, because this, you must understand, when the appointment was done, the city at the time was run by the DA.
Yeah.
And we fail to understand as to why now, guys. We've been running the city for almost a year now, 10 months, and all of a sudden you bring this matter at the time when...
So I guess the question is, when did the MEC of COGTA actually come up with this information? Because here, if you look at the statement of the EFF, it says that the revelations by the MEC confirms what the EFF has consistently warned against. The Democratic Alliance-led administration under former Mayor Silas Brink governed Tshwane with a complete disregard for law and due process. The appointment of key senior managers, including the city manager Johan Metler, the financial officer, chief audit executive, chief of police, chief of emergency services, chief operations officer, and the group head in the office of the city manager was conducted by a panel that was unlawfully constituted in violations in Regulation 12 and Section 17 of the Local Government Regulations on Appointment and Conditions of Employment of Senior Managers. These flawed appointments represent not only a blatant undermining of municipal legislation, but also a direct assault on good governance and institutional integrity. The MEC's findings are unequivocal in declaring the panel and its decisions null and void, necessitating urgent corrective measures. So guys, I guess what I'm trying to find out is, when did the MEC of COGTA actually come up with this information? Because right now, you hear him in Mashaba it's like saying, guys, we've been running this thing for 9 months, and you guys suddenly are now coming and saying that we must remove the city manager. Why were you guys quiet all of this time? But if you read the statement of the ANC and the statement of the EFF, it is something, it sounds like this is something that they have just found out right now, that okay, this is how these people were appointed and we need to actually push for these people to be removed. This is how they are painting it to sound like. So the question that I have is, when did the MEC actually come up with that information? Because I remember even that interview that was conducted by SABC, when they were speaking with that representative of the ANC, one of the questions that the journalist asked was, why now? Why are you guys only now saying all of these things? So it sounds like the EFF and the ANC have just received this information. I don't know, guys. I don't know.
This matter at the time when Clement, you remember very well, I'm on record before finalizing the takeover of Tshwane. Remember when I made the statement, I got attacked left, right, and center. I remember I was overseas, called the names and so forth. But I stuck to my guns because obviously engaging the DA over the last 2 years, refusing to provide services to poor communities, we were left with no option than to really talk to the ANC and EFF so that our city can have government. But I was really very concerned, and I shared this with South Africa. I said, if the city of Tshwane was a company, and I was a director, I would call for its liquidation. But I said we can't liquidate the city. We've got to find a way to repair it and correct it. And I think I must have had an interview with you and others in this regard.
Yeah.
So this is what the leader of Action SA, Hemel Mashaba, guys, is saying. What do you think, man? Do you think that Hemel Mashaba is downplaying what is happening in the city of Tshwane? Because I think that Hemel Mashaba and Action SA, I think they are trying to downplay what is happening in the city of Tshwane. But again, I don't think that the EFF and the ANC are going to allow Action SA to say that, guys, we don't want this guy to be removed, and Action SA have their way. I don't think at the end of the day, Action SA is going to have their day. I think this actually potentially might cause a lot of friction in the city of Tshwane. Guys, what are your thoughts? Please tell me what you think in the comment section. Don't forget to hit that like button, and the most important part, subscribe. My name is Thomas Mabaso. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.